Oh. Please come forward.
I just have some jottings for myself just to add to the written submission that we made. And firstly, that because the draft LTP asked whether roading should be given a higher priority than wastewater disposal, and I think you'll all be aware of Akaroa's complex waste disposal problems that are ongoing. We see safe disposal of wastewater. In our view, it's not a nice to have, and the Friends of Banks Peninsula is concerned that the original budget of $35 million for a new treatment plant and harbour discharge has not been adjusted to reflect the options now being explored, with the volume of wastewater now known to be twice as much as originally planned for. Two options remain on the table: deep bore injection, as yet the feasibility of that is not known, or the costs, or piping to the outer coastal area for land disposal. Neither option would leave any funds for establishing non-potable reuse, usually known as purple pipe, in Akaroa. This was promoted by the Friends and strongly supported by the community in last year's consultation process. And our town water supply is another ongoing difficulty for Akaroa and increasingly vulnerable to the effects of climate change. So reuse of treated wastewater combined with water conservation encouragement and measures is really vital for the long-term sustainability and resilience of Akaroa. And we would really like to see low-tech solutions to this problem rather than increasingly high-tech and risky ones, and also the burgeoning costs of those. So safe disposal of wastewater is actually a problem for communities across Banks Peninsula, and funds are also needed for equally pressing problems elsewhere. So we want to see the wisest possible use of what has to be spent, and it is a lot of money for seemingly a very small ratepayer base, but on any given day the visitors in Akaroa outnumber the residents, so that is a big part of the problems that we face. And this really brings me to our next point, which is the provision of public toilets in rural areas, and the council has commissioned a report about those existing facilities, and they've been found the disposal systems at many of these are failing or are practically non-existent. So there's another huge cost and huge problem that we're facing. We've got ever-increasing visitor numbers and great public concern at the proliferation of human waste and toilet paper on both public and private property. Now, I spoke to you in a personal capacity last year about the French farm toilets and surrounding situation. Those toilets have been reopened a couple of months ago, but since then there is two very obvious piles of toilet paper behind those toilets. I can't figure out why that happens, but it's there's just a huge problem out there. They've been there for several weeks now. I believe the contractor comes weekly at least to service the toilets, but that toilet paper has not been picked up. Also, the contractor does not pick up any rubbish that's lying around either. So need to get a little bit more.
It's probably not in their contract.
Yeah, that's right, and it really ought to be, because it just encourages more of it. So we just need to be a lot more clever about how we use the funds we've got. Our third topic was really, it's an associated one, I guess, of freedom camping, and we just really wanted to say that with the uncertainty and the high cost of both water supply and wastewater disposal in Akaroa and the surrounding areas, we really can't afford to be providing free use of our facilities for roadside campers. And if freedom campers are to be provided for, then we need effective ways to ensure that they pay fairly for the facilities that they use, and that's the water supply, the waste disposal, the rubbish disposal, and also waste dumps for camper vans. I mean, self-contained camping is not the way to go. It still brings a lot of problems. My mother lives in Akaroa. Her neighbour has on 3 occasions now had camper van waste tanks dumped in her red wheelie bin. So this is what the reality of what we're facing over there with waste disposal, and you know, the idea that we're some sort of demanding community that wants to gobble up lots of Christchurch's money. I mean, these are not nice to haves. They're services that we need to have, especially if visitors are going to continue to come to the area in the numbers that they are. So the Friends just wanted to take this opportunity to let you all to these very real problems that we have over and above roading and all these other things.
No, look, thank you very much.
This is a priority for Banks Peninsula.
Yeah, no, it's a powerful point you make. I can tell you that we have lodged an application with the Tourism Infrastructure Fund for public toilets for Akaroa, so specifically to cater to that demand that occurs over there.
The problem is not so much in the town itself, where there is a reticulated service, and forget about what's happening at the other end of that. It's those rural areas where actually providing the disposal is extremely costly, and if you're in close to the coast, actually very difficult to do. So I, of course, am closely looking at what's happening at French Farm since the toilets have been reopened.
Yeah. Okay. Look, thank you. Phil?
Thank you for your submission. Can I just ask you about the Akaroa wastewater scheme, and just with reference to the working party? So if, for example, future technical reports show that in fact more than one option is required, so that in fact some sort of combination of, say, the deep bores with infusion and also the irrigation and storage, if a combination was required, is that something that the working party is open to as well?
I'm not involved directly with the working party, and actually the Friends is not directly represented on the working party. I mean, obviously there's, you know, the discussions are ongoing. I think that if you have a range of systems, then the cost keeps going up, and also if you have a really high sunk cost in capital, that makes it less likely that money's going to be found for the reuse option, which is probably the only sustainable way into the future.
But I think the point of your submission is that we haven't budgeted sufficiently for the options that we are advocating in the plan, and it doesn't contain the reference to the non-potable reuse option. So,
and also, I guess it was also expressing concern that if all the money gets spent in Akaroa, what about the rest of the areas that have also need money as well?
Yeah. Glenn?
Just a quick question. Cheviot has a public waste dumping facility in the middle of the town. Are you saying you don't have anything at all like that for self-contained?
I believe that in Akaroa they have to go to the camping ground. That's the only one in Akaroa itself. There's one at...
Okay, the one in Cheviot's outside the camping ground, so it's...
There's one at Devotional Camping Ground, I think. They are, it can be used by the public.
Okay.
We can check that, Glenn, in terms of the availability of the dumping facility.
But of course, if someone's camping over in Pigeon Bay or at Cairns Bay or one of the remote bays for a few days, they've got nowhere.
Yeah, but we can't have them everywhere. I mean, it's just,
no, we can't.
You know, it's...
But we have camper vans everywhere.
Yes, I know, but we do need to think about capacity and availability of dumping facilities at strategic places. So, but we'll check up on where the existing services are and whether they're under pressure. I think that's all the questions. Look, thank you very much for coming, and it is always valuable that people do come. So, thank you very much for raising these issues.